The X-Zone Radio Show with Rob McConnell is largely an opinion talk show. All opinions, comments, or statements of fact expressed by Rob McConnell's guests are strictly their own and are not to be construed as those of the X-Zone Radio Show or endorsed in any manner by Rob McConnell, Relmar McConnell Media Company, the X-Zone Broadcast Network, its affiliated networks, stations, employees, or advertisers.
All Hit Radio.
Welcome to the X Zone, a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality. Now, here's your host, Rob McConnell.
Had the opportunity to take some classes and workshops and practice different psychic techniques, meditation and things, and found what worked for me, and I started practicing as an amateur psychic and found I was pretty good at it, and I went to a professional back in 1973.
So what would you say your areas of expertise are when it comes to the world of the paranormal?
Actually, I work in so many different areas, and I don't call myself an expert in anything. I'm constantly learning. But I have a lot of experience in psychic phenomena, and, as I say, dealing with ghosts and other non-physical beings, one of whom is my interdimensional friend that you mentioned, Sir Garrod. And been working with him since 1986.
Tell us how you met Sir Garrod.
You want the short version or the long version?
Well, we've got about a minute before I have to go to my break. So.
Well, the long version, if we get interrupted, I'll pick it up.
Okay, that's fair enough.
I met him at a party.
But wait a sec, hold on here. You met an interdimensional being at a party?
Yes.
I want to go to your parties. Like you sound like
substance party, by the way.
You sound like a real great lady to hang around with.
I am. I think you'll find a lot of people who would agree with you.
Okay, so what kind of party was this? Where interdimensional beings were?
It was just a gathering of friends who wanted to get together and see each other.
Okay.
And one of the women had brought a crystal to the party, and she asked me if I would tune in on its energy, and I just started to work with crystals back then. And so I put it on my third eye and waited to feel what the energy wanted to say to me. And the next thing I knew, my consciousness left the room, and I was looking through an opening in space and watching patterns of gold on a midnight blue background. And it coalesced into a figure of a person in a midnight blue cloak ornamented in gold designs. And it had a hood. I never saw the face of the person in the hood, and it didn't speak. It was kind of...
All right. On that happy note, you and I are going to take our first break. Bernice Kelman is my special guest of this hour, X-Zone Nation. Bernice is a psychic. She is in, let me see, you are in where?
Underhill, Vermont.
Underhill, Vermont, that's it. And Bernice and I will be back on the other side of this break as we continue here in the X-Zone from our broadcast center in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. www.loving-now.com is her website. Don't go away. If you enjoy reading a good mystery with a touch of the paranormal, then you'll love From Out of the Woodwork by William S. Peckham. Sean Kennedy, a Toronto contractor, buys derelict houses, guts them, and turns them into multi-family dwellings. When Sean buys 29 Livery Lane, a century house in ruins, and starts the renovation, the house fights back. He is visited by ghosts of owners past. His visions are triggered by touching an oak mantle, reading a faded letter, opening an old locket, or opening a brand new casket in the basement. These visions will take you on a trip across southern Ontario from Niagara Falls to Toronto to Kingston. From Out of the Woodwork is now available in paperback and on your favorite electronic reader. To order your copy of From Out of the Woodwork, go to www.williamspeckham.com. That's www.williamspeckham.com.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 800-837-1286 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 800-837-1286 to take your call now. Call 800-837-1286. That's 800-837-1286. Again, 800-837-1286.
Bernice Kelman is my special guest this hour, X-Zone Nation. She is in the beautiful state of Vermont, and her website is www.loving-now.com. And Bernice is the channel of an interdimensional being who goes by the name of Sir Garrett, who helped or wrote a book that Bernice penned, and the name of the book is Bending Reality, the book, and it's available at all brick-and-mortar bookstores as well as online. So you met Sir Garrett at a party.
Yes.
You've got my full attention.
Okay, so we were interrupted by the break.
Yeah.
As I said, I was looking at this figure, and I never saw the face of the person in the hood, but I got an impression of a very authoritative male presence. Not authoritarian, just authoritative. And it didn't speak, and I was kind of startled, needless to say, and I checked him out with my spirit guides, and they said he was all right, and I could talk to him the next day when I meditated and find out who he was and what's going on. So I came back to the party, and I explained to everybody what had happened, and they understood because they'd all been around me for a long time, so they knew the kind of things that I got into. And so that was my first introduction. So the next day, I went into meditation and sent out a psychic invitation to the person in the hood, and he explained who he was and asked if I would be willing to work with him. And I said, okay, we'll try it, see how it goes. And it went pretty good, so I've been doing it ever since.
What was it like the first time you sat down, and I guess he would communicate with you through how? Your mind's eye?
He borrows my body when I invite him.
I see.
He doesn't do it without my permission. And the thing is that he, I lost my train of thought. He is here not so much for my benefit, but for other people who come to have sessions with him. And I just lend my body becomes like a telephone.
Gotcha.
So and he just talks to people through the telephone.
So what does your husband say about somebody borrowing his wife's body?
I'm not married.
Okay. So
nobody runs me. Nobody runs me. I run me.
Would you say that Sir Garrett is your better half at this point?
No, he's a friend.
Oh, he's a friend. So, what is his background? Where is he from?
He's outside of our reality. He's outside of our space-time.
Right.
So when he looks at our reality, he has a very broad perspective on it. And he tries to help us gain some of that broad perspective, not instead of the perspective we have, which we need to function in this reality, but to help us realize that reality is more than we think it is, and we are more than we think we are.
What was your most awe-inspiring moment as you were writing the book with Sir Garrod?
Well, first of all, the book grew out of a newsletter that he dictates to me every other month, which is called Bending Reality, that I've been doing since 1996. And then around 2005, I think it was, he said, we should take some of that and put it into book form, because there are a lot of people who are never going to get to see you meeting me in person. So they need to be able to have access to some of this material. So I took the first 8 years of the newsletter and put it in book form.
He seems like a very compassionate person.
Oh, he is not only compassionate, he has a great sense of humor.
How so?
He's not beyond cracking a few jokes now and again. He can be very serious and solemn, but he can also be quite lighthearted. It depends on what he perceives the person needs that he's talking to.
Can you tell us some of the information that listeners may find in your book?
Oh, it covers such a broad range. The newsletter is the result of people sending in questions, which he responds to in the newsletter. So that's what the book is about, too. So people ask all kinds of questions when they come to him. And want to know everything from, is my car going to last through the winter, to how's great Aunt Matilda doing, what does our universe look like from the outside, and is there tennis after death? And he just talks about whatever people want to talk about.
What is the most frequent question that Sir Garrod would be asked by somebody seeking his counsel?
A lot of people ask career advice. The other thing that people ask about is how come the world is so strange? What can we do about all the anger and hostility?
And what would his answer be to why is the world so strange, and what can we do about all the negativity?
What he says is not that different from what the great sages of the past 7,000 years have been telling us. It's all about unconditional love. Everything, because he's an energy being. He doesn't actually have a body. He is pure energy. So he perceives everything in terms of energy. And the energy of unconditional love, which is what he calls the basic energy, is the most powerful force in the universe. And it means love without judgment and without expectation. And when we use that, we become as powerful as the energy. And it can overcome anything. It is the strongest force in the universe. It is stronger than death.
Why do you think that we as a society in the year 2016 do not realize that yet?
We've never realized, as a species, we have never realized it. There have been certain people and certain small societies that have realized it. But it doesn't last. And it's because people aren't raised to love themselves unconditionally. And you can't give what you don't have. And that's a lesson he will repeat over and over again. If you learn that lesson, you don't need anything else. Everything else falls into place. And when you learn to use the energy of unconditional love, you actually broadcast it, and other people pick it up. You can change the world simply by changing your energy to that of love.
So in your opinion, based on the conversations that you've had with Sir Garrod and others who have sought his counsel, what happens to us after we die?
Only bodies die. Spirits never die. They just go on to other adventures. And the purpose of existence, he says, is to learn and grow and explore our potential. And learning never ends.
But where do we go when we leave here?
There are multiple realities. There's an infinite number of realities. Mm-hmm. We can go anywhere. We can be as physical as we are in this reality, or we can be pure energy or anything in between.
So would you say that realities, such as this one that you and I are presently in, are or were created in order for spirits or energy to come to experience new experiences that they cannot experience as a pure form of energy?
Yes. He says that, I'm trying to think how to put this, that everything is for purposes of learning. Mm-hmm. And when we emerge as an individual energy entity, we all start out as energy beings. We are spun off from the energy of our own higher self, which is also a larger energy being. And we're spun off from that. And we're all made of the same energy, which is the energy of unconditional love. So before we become physical, we are an energy being of light and love. And then we decide that, well, we don't want to just hang out there doing nothing. We want to learn something.
Sure.
So we develop a set of lessons that we want to explore. And that's done with the cooperation of our higher selves and our spirit guides and the associated consultant spirits that we want to attract. And we set a set of lessons that we want to explore. And then we look around different realities and we find one that's suitable to our exploring those lessons. So I, for instance, decided that I wanted to explore my lessons in a physical reality with a physical body. So I looked around for a suitable developing embryo with the appropriate set of talents and socioeconomic status and geographic location that would be conducive to my learning my lessons, not necessarily in the easiest way. Because sometimes, we humans, we like to learn the hard way.
No, isn't that the truth?
So I entered that embryo, and I was born and became Bernice. And now I'm learning my lessons, I hope.
So basically, if I understand you correctly, we are in a continuous state of learning, even though we have totally evolved to the highest degree of evolution.
Well, your question has a hidden assumption that there's a hierarchy, and there isn't.
Well, there might.
Everybody learns in their own way, and we not only learn, but we teach as we learn. Everybody is a teacher, and everyone is a student in any reality.
I understand that, but if we come to any reality or to any dimension and assume a body of some sort, a physical essence that we as a pure energy take over or use as part of our learning, doesn't that mean we go down the scale to learn, to go back up?
There is no dimensional scale. That's just that's a disguise for judgment. And this gets into a whole other field. Judgment is a function of the distorted ego.
All right, let's talk more about this when we come back from our news break. Fascinating lady, X-Zone Nation. Fascinating conversation. I'm speaking to two people at once over here. I'm speaking to
yes, you are.
Our guest, Bernice Kelman, and I'm also talking to Sir Garrod, an international...
Gerard, actually.
Gerard.
Last syllable.
All right, Gerard. And an interdimensional being who takes over the body of Bernice. We'll be back on the other side as we continue here in the X-Zone from our broadcast center in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. My name is Rob McConnell. Don't go away.
Mutual Broadcast News, I'm Leo Ashcraft. Indiana child welfare officials have warned an organization that installed 2 baby boxes at firehouses where mothers can drop off unwanted newborns anonymously to remove them, saying they question their safety and whether women who use them could face child abandonment charges. 6 hospitals in Arizona have installed drawers in their emergency rooms that allow women to drop off infants anonymously, although state law neither authorizes nor prohibits them. Nearly 2 months after a woman was found severely burned on the Crow Indian Reservation, the tribe is still seeking information about the case from federal investigators. The victim was found on April 17th in a field near the border between the Northern Cheyenne and Crow Reservation with burns over most of her body. Doctors told the woman's family she had walked about 3 miles before collapsing. Reservation residents believe the woman was set on fire. Mutual Broadcast News. Depend on it.
Back in Victorian England, a famous theologian posed a perplexing riddle. Why are the 2 top personalities in the Bible tagged with the numbers 7 and 11? Academics agree the answer is found in the stunning discovery of a hitherto secret Bible structure explained in a new book called The Genesis Grid. The discovery is so simple that preschool children could illustrate it. Certain claims are hugely controversial and may offend some, but at the X Zone, we've studied this awesome new book and agree with one expert, and I quote, "These discoveries appear to be beyond coincidence." So who or what hid this wonderful pattern in the Bible, and what might they do next? Find out more, X Zone Nation, and read reviews on www.genesisgrid.co.uk. That's www.genesisgrid.co.uk. Are you considering calling a psychic to read your situation? Then consider David Champion, a psychic medium for more than 20 years with thousands of readings under his belt. David Champion will make you feel comfortable. He has proven to be honest and accurate. He's a straight shooter. There's no guesswork. What he sees is what you get. While he is a medium, most of the calls focus on relationships. Not only love, but work, school, neighbors, and more. Need help with finding a job and preparing for the interview? Are you dealing with people who are obstacles in your path? For more information, go to davidchampion.com, $1.50 per minute paid by credit card with a minimum of 30 minutes. For your reading with David Champion, call 1-877-702-8598. That's 1-877-702-8598. Manifestation is driven by imagination, intent, and passion. In our culture, all three have been distorted and disabled by modern media and exploitation. Re-engage your imagination and your passion by entering into the world of paranormal romance. Kahir O'Donnell takes her readers on an exciting journey into the endless possibilities of loving, passionate, and mutually respectful male-female relationship. Her latest book, The Long Dark Night, features special ops adventure, a daring rescue, a psychic woman from the stars, and a special agent that will die to protect her. The Long Dark Night by Kahira O'Donnell is now available at KahiraO'Donnell.com or Amazon.com.
Here's George Foreman with InventHelp.
Hi, I'm George Foreman. Do you have an idea for a new product or invention? People ask me all the time, George, how do I get my idea in front of companies? How do I get a patent? What do I do next? Do you have the same questions? I'll tell you like I'll tell them all. Call my friends at InventHelp.
Call InventHelp today for free information. InventHelp has been helping inventors for more than 30 years and has sales offices nationwide. InventHelp can submit your invention to companies who are interested in receiving new ideas. If you have an idea and want to try to patent it and submit it to companies, you should call InventHelp today for free information.
Listen, I can't guarantee a company will be interested in your idea, but I believe every inventor deserves the opportunity to step into the ring and take their best shot. Put InventHelp in your corner.
To get your free inventor's information, call 1-800-352-4158. That's 1-800-352-4158. Again, 1-800-352-4158. A fee-based company.
back, everyone. This is the X-Zone. I am Rob McConnell. My very special guest of this hour is Bernice Kelman. Her website is www.loving-now.com. She is the author, along with Sir Garrod, of a book entitled Bending Reality, the book, which is based on her monthly newspaper by the same name. When the both of you were writing the book, was there any chapter that just blew you out of the water?
I heard it all before, because I said it's part of the newsletter, and the newsletter comes out every other month, not every month.
Right.
That was just a short correction. No, I was familiar with all of it, but every time I read it, and I've read the book several times, even though I was the one who transcribed it, something new will pop out at me that didn't strike me that deeply when I first heard it or spoke it. And I just learn more and more the more I work with him. And he knows so much more than I do. Because I used to do readings before I met him. But he is so much better at it than I am that I'd let him do all the work now.
Can you give us some of the examples that people can find in your book based on your bi-monthly newsletter?
Well, as I say, a lot of people will call or come to see me about career matters or getting along with people at work or getting along with people in their families, for that matter. And he tries to help them see that we weren't designed to be crazy. And let's face it, most of us are crazy in one way or another. And what happened to us was that our egos got distorted. We have an ego that's supposed to take care of keeping us safe and healthy in physical reality. And so it helps us cross the street safely and dress for the weather and get our shoes on the right feet, things like that.
Right.
But millennia ago, we humans decided that the ego was also supposed to do something else, which is to make the right decisions for us. And you know what an agonizing process it is to make decisions. Well, the ego knew that it couldn't do what we've asked it to do, so it's split in two. We actually have two egos. We have one that does its proper job dealing with physical reality. And we have another one that I call the distorted ego. Mr. Garrod calls it the distorted ego, sometimes the crazy, frightened ego, which is really what its nature is. That is under the illusion that because it can't do what we want it to do, it is therefore unlovable. And there's nothing worse than feeling unlovable.
Yeah, isn't it true that if you can't love yourself, no one else can love you?
If you can't love yourself, you can't love anyone else, and you can't accept love from anyone else. Before I learned all this stuff, if somebody said they loved me, I thought they were either crazy or stupid or they were trying to get something from me.
Why? You seem like a very nice person.
And I am now.
What changed?
I learned about unconditional love, and I learned to use it, and I saw the power of it. And it made me feel wonderful. Giving love always feels wonderful.
Sure it does. But let me ask you something.
Fear feels terrible and doesn't work. Love feels wonderful and always works. You know, it's a very simple choice.
You know, all the people that I know understand that love is unconditional. They don't. I knew as a very young child, my first memory was of unconditional love that my parents were giving me.
It very quickly becomes conditional. Because our parents didn't learn unconditional love. They learned conditional love.
I really don't think that is fair to say that everyone doesn't understand.
No, it may not be true for everyone, but it's true for most people. Our culture has a definition of love that says, I will love you if you're like this, and I won't love you if you're like that. And that's not love at all. It's a business transaction. That's what Sir Garrod says.
You know what? I've never known that kind of love. I've only known unconditional love throughout my life.
You are very fortunate. Most people are not like that.
Is it possible that it depends on your upraising, your childhood?
Of course it is. You chose your parents before you became physical. because on some level you knew that they were going to teach you unconditional love.
Okay.
Most parents are worried about being judged by other people. So they worry about, is the baby crying enough? Is the great baby not crying enough? Or does he eat enough? Does he drink enough? You know, does the baby meet standards? So the parents unconsciously are judging the baby without even realizing that that's what they're doing. And the baby learns conditional love, not unconditional love. You may be an exception. You're a very rare exception. But you chose your parents probably because you knew they were going to teach you that.
Is it then possible that I have chosen throughout my life other people who know that love is unconditional, and I have surrounded myself with these people?
Well, it sort of happens naturally, because if you love unconditionally, you are broadcasting that energy, and it automatically attracts people who like the broadcast, just like people who tune into your radio show, like your radio show. But it's your energy that's broadcasting. If your energy is unconditional love, you're going to attract people who love unconditionally to the best of their human ability.
Just like when I was talking to you off air, I told you I loved your energy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And
I have so many loving people in my life because I broadcast it, and I don't have to try it. It's automatic. I've chosen to love unconditionally myself, beginning with myself, and then it automatically broadcasts to other people, and they go, "Ooh, I like that," and they come over.
Got you. And it's a very simple concept, isn't it? Like, people have been telling us this before Sir Garrod and you, John Lennon, for example. All you need is love.
But they didn't tell us how to do it.
So what is the...
No one to teach us how to do it.
So let me ask you here, okay. What makes the way that you teach people to love different from any other person in the world?
I don't know that it is different from any other person.
Okay, so how can we say that John Lennon didn't teach us how to love?
He told us that we should love. But I'm not sure that he gave us a method. Because we have to unlearn conditional love while we're learning unconditional love. And then we have to practice it. It's not enough just to feel it inside you. You have to go out into the real world, or our real world, and love other people. Energetically. It doesn't mean you have to go and hug strangers.
I like doing that.
Yeah, you can do that, but it doesn't mean you have to.
True.
I love loving people who think they don't like me.
Oh, you are nasty, aren't you?
Life is a party if you love.
A good friend of mine in Montreal once said, "Rob, you're here for a good time, not for a long time."
Well, we're here for as long as we're here to learn our lessons. And then we go on and do something else.
But what happens if we don't learn the lesson we're supposed to when we're here this time? Do we come back and do it all over again?
No. We just go on to another learning experience, and sometimes we may carry the same lesson over until we learn it.
But if we have access to all these energy forces who have come down to Earth and gone to other dimensions, other realities, why can't we just learn from their experiences?
Because humans are stubborn.
Yeah, but we're not humans.
They like to learn through drama.
But you see, you said...
Drama and suffering. Humans think they need that in order to learn.
You told us...
Drama and suffering.
You told us that we are not humans. We're energy in a human body.
Temporarily disguised as human, yes.
So does that mean we forget everything else that we have learned in other bodies, other lifetimes, other dimensions?
I'm not sure about that. I think we may forget some of it. We probably remember the general themes.
Okay, so we're really not humans. So how can that example, or how can that statement where we're humans, and you mentioned human characteristics and fallacies, how can that apply to us if we are just temporarily in a human body where we are energy?
Because we're not conscious that we are that. being.
Okay, then let me ask you this.
Physical.
Then let me ask
We
you this.
identify with our physical bodies.
All right, so let me ask you this. Let me ask you this
Yeah.
second part. How do we know that this energy life that you've been talking about is real?
Because if you really practice consistently being in and utilizing the energy of unconditional love, you get to experience what it's like to be non-physical.
Have you experienced
it? No, it's real. It is more real than being in your physical body.
Have you experienced it?
Yes, many times.
And what's it like?
I don't think I can describe it. You know the term ineffable?
Yeah.
Means indescribable. Our language is based on our physical reality. Being pure energy, being an energy being is non-physical. So we do not have the language to describe it.
But if you have surpassed this mortal body and you have experienced the result of true love, unconditional love, shouldn't you be able to describe that feeling to me?
No, because I have to use a language that's based in physical reality.
But if you
can't describe non-physical reality in physical terms.
If you cannot describe it, how do you know it actually happened? Hello?
Have you ever been swimming in the ocean?
Yeah, many times.
What if you never had? Or what if you're talking to a person who has never been in the ocean? How would you describe the feeling of swimming in the ocean?
It's just as wet as being in your bathtub, except it's larger. You've got more freedom. There are fish abounding. The water is warm. The water is salty. You can see the bottom of the ocean. You can put your toes in the sand and feel the sand between your toes.
What about the waves? What about a storm in the ocean? How do you explain? You can't explain it fully. You can describe it.
All right. You can describe
it. You can't really explain it in the way that person can understand it.
Oh, I don't think you're. I think you're not right with that respect.
Well, it's your opinion.
Oh yes, and life is based on opinions. This is why I'm trying to get you to give me your side of what you were saying that you experienced.
The closest thing I can come to it is complete freedom. Complete freedom from all physical limitations and complete and utter connection with the totality of the universe. And it feels like the universe loves me and I love the universe and we are one. There is no separation between me and the universe. There is no separation between me and you. There is no separation, period. Separation is an illusion.
Separation is an illusion. Does this only apply to us in our mortal form, or does this apply to us?
To everything.
So we are not. So we are. Does this apply to all living and non-living matter?
Yes.
So we are part of each other, which makes perfect sense.
Yes.
But what
we
about
are energy?
But
so
what
is everything else?
So we are connected to other species on this planet. We are connected to other species on other planets.
Absolutely. Doesn't that sound like fun?
I'm just trying to formulate the question being, if we are connected to each and every one and every other energy, it doesn't make sense that we have to individually experience the experiences that we come back to this plane for. Because if we are connected to others who have already been here and experienced it themselves, then we, being connected to them, have experienced it symbiotically.
Okay. let me give you a correction.
Okay.
You're thinking in terms of time. Time doesn't exist. Everything is now.
So there is no tomorrow.
Tomorrow is here. It's now. It's just in a different place in the space-time continuum.
But if...
Think in terms of space rather than time.
So what you're saying is time is not fixed.
Correct. And our scientists already know this. Time is an illusion, too. Time is simply the way we measure our relationship to other objects and our and movement
right.
of our bodies in relation to other objects.
Okay. So if I make plans on doing something tomorrow and I change my plans and I don't do it, then I have altered the time-space continuum.
For you personally, yes.
But you can't say for me personally, because before you said we are all connected. We are all part of one.
When you come into physical form, you become an independent entity. And you separate yourself to some extent from the larger existence. It doesn't really happen, but it looks like it happens. There's a lot of illusion in our... So
let's just step back a second here, because I've got to take my final break in about a minute.
Okay.
Before we even assume the physical body, while we are still energy, we're connected to each and every other being who is energy at that time, right?
Exactly.
Okay. So why is it then that we need to independently assume this physical body to experience? All right. I'll let you. No, wait a sec. Wait a sec. Whoa. I've got to take my break. Stand by. Okay. X-Zone Nation. We'll come back and try and get an answer on this question when we come back from this commercial break. My name is Rob McConnell. Bernice Kelman is my guest. www.loving-now.com. We'll be back on the other side of this break, here in the X-Zone from our broadcast center in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. Don't go away.
Do you have energy problems in your home? Do you feel better when you're away than when you're home? Joey Korn is the global leader in the world of dowsing who specializes in personal energy clearing and space clearing. He can help you create an ideal energy environment in your home no matter where you live in the world. Learn about his remote spiritual house cleaning services and much more at www.dowsers.com. You can get Joey's book, Dowsing, A Path to Enlightenment, as well as other dowsing books and tools, Kabbalah books, and Walter Russell books. Joey's work is really amazing. Go to dowsers.com right now. That's DOWSERS.com. Or call 1-877-DOWSING. That's 1-877-369-7464. Psychic Elizabeth Joyce is now giving readings worldwide via Skype. Elizabeth Joyce is recognized for her clairvoyant ability to help find missing persons, her analysis of dreams, past life regression work, mediumship, and her accurate predictions. Elizabeth has been a frequent guest on the X-Zone radio show with yours truly, Rob McConnell, now for several years. For an appointment with Elizabeth Joyce, call 201-934-8996 or Skype at elizabeth.joyce. And for more information, you can always visit Elizabeth Joyce online at www.new-visions.com. If you owe for back taxes, payroll taxes,
taxes, or if you've not filed, the IRS will search you out. They are the most powerful collection agency in the world. One call to Wall and Associates, and your tax problems can be solved. Listen.
I was worried I would lose my house. Wall met with me in person.
I was scared. Wall and Associates got my levy released in 48 hours.
They settled my back tax debt for a fraction of what I owe.
At Wall, we solve tax problems. Call 800-619-4922. 800-619-4922. You always speak with a live person.
I never had to talk to the IRS again.
Wall stopped my wage garnishment.
Wall solved my back tax problems for a fraction of what I owe. Call Wall and Associates now for a free face-to-face consultation. Call 800-619-4922. 800-619-4922. 800-619-4922.
Welcome back to the X Zone, everyone. I am Rob McConnell. My guest of this hour is Bernice Kelman, and she is in the beautiful state of Vermont. And I'll tell you, as a child, I spent many of wonderful days and weekends in Vermont. Beautiful people, beautiful state. And Bernice, thank you so much for coming on the show this hour with us. It's been great talking to you. And Sir Garrod. So I asked you a rather perplexing question before we went to the commercial break, and I was wondering if you could give us an answer.
Well, the problem that we have in our physical reality is that we have this ego. We have two egos. We have a crazy, frightened ego, and we have a sane ego. And the ego was never designed to be crazy, and it needs to be healed, and we can heal it with love. And there are ways to do that. It's explained in the book. But it takes practice. Mm-hmm. And when you only have an ego when you have a body, so these energy beings that we were before we became physical don't have egos. And then they choose to be in a physical body, and they have egos. And if the ego gets to be crazy, then we have a crazy life, and we misunderstand things, and we don't know about. We take illusions seriously, and that's one of the problems that we have.
I was wondering.
Does that answer your question?
Yeah, it does. And I was wondering if you have a message that you'd like to share with the members of the X Zone Nation. We have about 2 minutes left.
The most important lesson that anyone can ever learn is how to love unconditionally, beginning with yourself. It means loving yourself even at your worst, even when you don't like yourself. If you can love yourself unconditionally, then you can love others unconditionally, whether they like it or not. One of my favorite things to do is to go up to somebody who's giving me a hard time and say, I love you unconditionally, and there's nothing you can do about it. You're stuck with it, so you better get used to it. Because that's what I've had to tell myself. That's what works for me. And that's what attracts other loving people to me. I cannot tell you how wonderful my life is because I have so many loving people that come into my life and stay in my life. And I never had that before I learned about unconditional love. I know it works because I proved it to myself. It's not because I read it in a book or somebody else told me. It's because I put it into practice and I've seen it and felt how it works. There is nothing more wonderful than being in a state of unconditional love.
And I can hear it in your voice.
I'm passionate about it. It's my crusade.
And a wonderful crusade it is. Listen, I want to thank you.
And I'm not the first one to have that crusade. Jesus had it. Gandhi had it. Mm-hmm. Buddha had it. It's universal. But you've got to put it into practice in the real world. Otherwise, it's not real for you. And it doesn't work for you until you make it real for yourself. And it takes lots and lots of practice.
Bernice, I want to thank you ever so much for joining us here tonight in the X Zone. Don't be a stranger. You and Sir Garrod are welcome back anytime at all. But until then, my dear...
Anytime you want us, we're happy to come.
All right, until then, thank you so much. Blessings to you, and be safe wherever you travel.
Blessings, light, and love to you, Rob, and to all your listeners.
Good night, my new friend.
Good night.
Bye-bye now. Exonation, my guest this hour has been Bernice Kelman. Her website is www.loving-now.com. And the name of her book, Bending Reality, the book. We'll be back on the other side of this news break at 6.5 minutes past the top of the hour as we continue here in the X-Zone from our broadcast center in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, on the Mutual Broadcast Network and the all-new IPBN Radio Network.